What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the German Chef Guy Show. I am, of course, your host, German Chef Guy 18. Turn this down a little bit for you guys. I'll just switch it over to classical. Hopefully Twitch doesn't mute me for this because I'm using Twitch Soundtrack or Soundtrack by Twitch Beta to make this work. But let me test to make sure my stuff's working on Twitch. Okay, and you guys can hear me just fine. So, tonight I want to do something a little bit different. Actually, I'm going to pause this because I don't want Twitch to silence me or whatever. Tonight I want to do something a little bit different. A lot of you guys might have questions about maybe what I do for a living outside of Twitch. Maybe some of you guys might be curious as to my emotes that you see all across the background here. Maybe you guys are interested in a nursing career, would like some advice. Maybe you're already working in healthcare and maybe just need some advice on things, that maybe you're struggling with, because right now the medical field just is a hot mess. COVID didn't do us any favors. I'm not going to get into that just because Twitch doesn't like the word COVID or talking about COVID, so we're not going to go there. Disclaimer before we even get started, this is not a medical advice column. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a nurse, I am a CNA, so I am not here to give medical advice. If you're looking for that, speak to a physician is the best thing I can tell you. So a little background on me. I've worked in hospitals, I don't know, probably about 10 years or so of my life, 8 to 10 years, somewhere in that neighborhood. Started off working in the dietary department when I was fresh out of high school, and learned all sorts of things about diets, specific diets within a hospital, just all sorts of nutrition type stuff. Graduated from that, wanted to try something different, did patient transport for about 3 years, would run around hospitals, just, taking patients like radiology, procedures, things such as this. Well, then COVID hit, and oftentimes I would find myself, or find people would be saying, oh, hey, thank you for your service, I'm like, well, I'm not a veteran, so why are you thanking me for your service? Well, what a veteran buddy had told me was like, hey, you may not actually be a veteran, but in this time of a pandemic or whatever, it's almost like you're fighting biological warfare. And I'm like, I guess I could see that, but at the same time, I'm still not a veteran. I don't know, it's just an uncomfortable thing for me, even though I appreciate anybody that does tell me, like, hey, thank you for your service, thank you for what you do. Like, it's appreciated, to be sure. So I've been a CNA uncertified for about 3 years. November of this year will be 3 years that I've been a CNA. And I really, truly enjoy what I do for a living. I often tell people I feel like I was put on this earth to, to help people, because people often tell me I got a heart of gold, and I like to think that about myself as well. I see that. I also have been told, I wear my heart on my sleeve, which, I would say a lot of people in healthcare probably do. We are a very compassionate people for the most part. We're very empathetic, understanding. In my opinion, and things that I've experienced, you will never meet a group of people who are the most welcoming and open, whether you're, no matter what your sexual orientation is, no matter what your race, religion, creed, whatever. We are very open, welcoming individuals. I'd say most of the time. I can tell you, in my experience, when I first got into this, I was a much different person. I had my own biases, whether it be politically or my own beliefs, But slowly, as time went on, I kind of became very open to a lot of different things, that, I hadn't really, been open to before. Now I'm just like, I'm a very open and caring individual, no matter who my patient is, no matter where they come from, what their background is, what their beliefs are. I care for people the exact same in any, capacity. Hold on, go off topic here just for a second. I did notice I got a new follower since I've been off stream, so real quick, Revenge Vamp 101, welcome to the pack. There it is. Welcome to the pack. Thank you for the follow. I appreciate you. If you like the content that I'm doing here, drop me a sub, drop me some biddies, whatever, and that goes for all of you viewing as well. So there's that, and also let me drop my other stuff here real quick. I'm also sponsored by a company called Doobie. They are an energy drink company, or energy powder, I should say. Mix it with a little bit of water. They got all sorts of stuff over there, guys. They got T-shirts. They got shakers. I need to move my camera a little bit. It would seem. Point it down. There we go. They got shakers. They got T-shirts. They got mouse pads, which was kind of a cool thing. They got like Star Wars themed shakers over there, I believe. Their powders are excellent. They're delicious. I've had them myself. I need to order more, but it's a story for another time. Go check them out, guys. They're down in the About section, so if you want to check Doobie out, use code GermanChefGuy over there. Gets you, I want to say, it's like 10% off, so yeah. Go get 10% off. They have starter packs, so if you're not really fully committed to it yet, they'll send you a shaker and 2 packs of their energy powder for like $19.99, and then 10% off saves you like the tax and shipping, I think. So go check them out. There's the link in the chat, and apparently I need to log back in, otherwise it's not going to let me do the chat stuff. So hang on a second, we'll get back on topic. Sorry about this. I had momentum there, and then it just kind of like, this is not, I need to log in. There we go. Of course it sends me an SMS code. I didn't realize I was going to do this, guys. My bad. My bad. Days, minutes. There we go. Finally. Okay, there we go. Hey, cool. Thanks for stopping by, Sarah. Just talking about, nursing, or, job and, stuff I do for a living. That not go through? That should be TV. Why is my bot's not working? Okay, logged in here. Why is my Nightbot not working? Okay. Okay, so none of my Nightbot stuff was working, so I'll have to get that figured out later. But that is another story altogether. Kind of annoyed by that, actually. Okay, go over to Streamlabs, Nightbot, dashboard. Okay. Over to Nightbot, Sorry about this, guys. I was on a roll, and then suddenly, yeah, not so much now. Okay. Okay, that's not working either. Okay, so I'll just have to figure that out later. Anyway, the sponsor is down there in the About section. It's Doobie, big smiley face. It's kind of like big smiley face. My socials are down there as well. Hey, it's fine, sir. Don't worry about it. But anyway, so back to the topic at hand. That was just my little advertisement stuff. But anyway, so kind of what brought this up is, like I said, I'm a very open, welcoming. I try to be as unbiased as I can towards a lot of people. But as human beings, we just have a tendency. I think, it's just, a primal part of our brains. I can't think of the right term, but right now, but where we have a tendency to be judgmental, and I think it's a, I personally believe it's a defense mechanism, but I digress. I've been training somebody this last couple of days. It's just, they have told me that, and I can't really say one way or the other, but they have told me that they have been a CNA or like an LPN. She said CNA and she said LPN. I'm inclined to distrust her just because I've caught her in a couple other lies before. And she said she's been doing it since she was 18. She's my age, so roughly 15 years or so. But yet she has this very hood rat-like attitude. She, one of the first things she said to me when she, was like, oh man, I'm from the hood, whatever. And I'm like, okay, if that's fact, great. But at the same time, like, the hospital setting is not the place to start being like, oh man, I'm so hood, I'm so, I'm not in on the slang, but you get where I'm going with that. Healthcare is not the place for that. She has, I don't know, we've had a couple days that I've trained her, like, she went to a couple of my patients, but one in particular, went to one of my patients. So she's a white girl with a black husband. She's got, 7, going on her 8th kid now, which, great, again, unbiased on my part. But when you use it as an excuse for things that you've done or try to get some kind of, privilege out of that or sympathy, whatever, I have a problem with that. And I know Twitch is probably not going to like what I have to say on this one, but, it's wrong, Like, okay, so she was telling this patient, for example, oh, well, I got pulled over and, I was when I was pregnant with my 2nd kid, and, I got, the cop, while I was 9 months pregnant, like, pushed me to the ground, and it's just because my husband's black, and I'm like, okay, so, well, maybe that does happen. I really doubt that this was the case, and that's not even the point, so putting that aside, what does that have to do with you caring for this patient? This patient, I am quite certain, does not want to hear about your criminal exploits, your, not even your criminal exploits, just they don't want to hear about your run-ins with the law. This is just not the place to talk about that stuff. Now, granted, I have been very open with patients myself in the past, and it's, So sometimes maybe I've gotten a little too personal and, you know, gotten too deep with patients, and it's happened, but it can't be helped, especially given, hang on a second, especially given the nature of our job. We're there, us as CNAs, us as nurses, you know, not so much doctors because they're more like the behind the scenes. Believe it or not, guys, hospitals are not what you see on Grey's Anatomy, House, stuff like that. The doctors aren't the ones doing all of the work. Okay, I mean they're more behind the scenes, but the direct patient care, like me and the nursing staff, like we're the ones that are there with the patient all day long. You got different departments, doing different things with the patient. You got radiology coming in. It's not like I just got done watching House, and it's not like, okay, well, the doctors are taking, the patient down to MRI. The doctors are doing the CAT scans. Their doctors are doing this, that, or the other. That's not the case. They're ordering the stuff for sure. They're like, okay, well, I want this person to have a CAT scan. Okay, fine. So, but they're not the ones actually doing it. So it's not what you see. A lot of the times, it's the CNAs and the nurses that are, there with the patient, taking care of the patient, whatever. And, it's a very emotional time. It's a very emotional time for a lot of the family members. It's emotional for, the patients because they're in, some of the probably darkest days. Could be even their darkest day of their entire life. And, that's why we have to be just so unbiased and empathetic, whatever, with these patients. And you try not to get too involved with their, personal goings on, but it's hard not to. Especially if you have a patient, down the hall that's, oh, they're coding, okay, I gotta, be, on it, I gotta jump in there, I gotta start doing CPR, I gotta do all this, and then, I've had to do CPR, at least 3 different times in the 3 years that I've been a CNA. And it's not what you see in Hollywood. It's not what you see in the movies. You don't have this, music going on. You don't have this, it's a lot different than what you see on TV. It's a lot of shouting. Doctors yelling at nurses. What's this? Hey, what's so and so's? What's their blood sugar? Hey, what are their blood pressures? Hey, what is their heart rate? What is all this stuff? In the meantime, you got a guy like me who's doing chest compressions, make sure the patient stays alive. And oftentimes, what ends up happening, I'm going off on a tangent here, but this is it's called just chatting for a reason. Oftentimes, you get a big guy like me on a little old 90-year-old lady. I'm breaking bones, man. I'm breaking their sternum. I'm breaking their ribs. And if they have about an 11% chance of coming back from that, and if they do, I mean, man, every breath is going to be agonizing. Every breath will be agonizing. Again, if they're like 90 years old, they'll probably be bedridden for long periods of time. Means bed sores, bed sores, skin breakdown. If they're bedridden, I'm going to guess they're probably also going to be incontinent. In other words, they'll, okay, they may not necessarily be incontinent, but they won't really be able to go to the bathroom on their own, which is going to lead to more skin breakdown. It's going to lead to more just misery, man. To my viewers who have family members, who are maybe over the age of 70 or higher, I would really consider, guys, I know it's a hard conversation to have. Believe me, I just had to have this conversation about being a DNR with my own grandmother. And it was a difficult conversation to have, but if you guys have family members over the age of 70, and they're not in particularly good health, it might be a good time for you guys as a family member to have that conversation, like, hey, Aunt Jolene, okay, like, hey, you're 70 years old, your health isn't the greatest, maybe you need to consider being a DNR, like, because odds are, have that rational conversation with them, just be candid about it, be like, hey, look, everything I just said, get somebody that breaks their bones, every breath is going to be agonizing, the skin breakdown, bed sores, all this stuff, you know. Sorry. Because I've seen it, guys. I've seen it personally. I had a patient who was 93 years old, and the family just did not want to let go of this person, that they cared about dearly. But sometimes, guys, like I said, I've seen it. Like this patient's skin was doing what we call weeping, which means there's a which means they had fluid just coming into their skin, man. Like it's just they were so miserable. You just so much as touch them. You poke them a little bit, and she was just in pain. She couldn't eat anything. I mean, this woman couldn't even eat pudding, guys. Like she tried to swallow some pudding, and she had these mouth sores, and just every bite of pudding was agonizing for her, and this family just did not want to let their grandmother go. And that's noble, and it's hard. Sometimes it's better to let that person go than to watch them suffer, So getting back to my point, healthcare is not for everybody. Not everybody can handle the kind of stress, the kind of emotional, mental, and physical, stuff that we go through on a day-to-day basis. Again, as I said at the start of the stream, I love what I do for a living. Absolutely love it. Could not imagine myself doing anything else, maybe outside of doing like a podcast like this. But it's not for everybody. And if you're going to come in with this kind of attitude of, sorry about that, I'm getting notifications on my watch nonstop. You're right, Sarah. You're young. You're in your 20s still, so having you be a DNR right now would not be ideal for you. Because you would very likely come back. You'd be in pain for a while, most likely. But yeah, the DNR conversation is not something you should consider at your age at the moment. But back to what I was saying. Healthcare isn't for everybody. Not everybody can handle the kind of stress. And if you're going to come in with this attitude of, okay, well, I'm going to act like, I'm going to act like a hood rat, or I'm going to have this, attitude of, I don't even have words for it. I'm going to have this attitude of, well, and she's lazy too. The gal I've been training, she also is incredibly lazy. She's pregnant. She claims, at least, again, I've caught her in a couple lies, so I question whether she's actually pregnant or not. She's 7 weeks pregnant. I've caught her coming back from smoke breaks, coming in smelling like smoke. And again, nursing is very stressful. And I get it. If you need to go out and most hospitals I've ever worked for, actually every hospital I've ever worked for, you're not supposed to go out and have a smoke break on premises, and you really shouldn't be smoking while you're on shift. It can be hard. I get it. I definitely get it. But you come back smelling like smoke, and it's going to be off-putting to a lot of people, particularly your coworkers. And also, if you're pregnant, don't be smoking. Like, come on. Like she said, she's pregnant. Caught her. I've trained her 3 days. She's gone off, she's gone off 5 times off the unit, which most of us don't even get a lunch break sometimes. Truth of the matter is, when you're a nurse, you're a CNA, sometimes you're so busy, you don't get a break, and it's just a sad truth and reality that we face every day. But oftentimes most nurses and CNAs put put our patients before ourselves, and I am notorious for this. Like, I don't, personally, I don't drink a lot of water when I'm working. I have like a can of like energy drink, whatever it is, so I don't like coffee or tea. And I don't drink a whole heck of a lot throughout the day. I don't really even eat a lot of times when I'm working, because I want to make my focus on my patients. And I feel like if I eat, it like particularly like in the afternoon when normal people have lunch, like, or even if I eat breakfast, I feel like I'm groggy, sluggish the rest of the day, so I don't really eat when I'm at work because I feel like that takes away from patient care. But I mean, it's not always the case. Sometimes I do eat. Like today, I didn't eat lunch. But anyway, backing up, you shouldn't be going out having a smoke when you're at work. It's just when you're working in healthcare, because a lot of patients I take care of are former smokers. They probably don't want the smell around them, so it probably reminds them of when they were able to smoke, and it's not healthy. And again, you're pregnant, should be smoking. And then my orientee also claims that she knocks back like 95-hour energies a day. Again, pretty sure when you're pregnant, you're not supposed to be knocking back a bunch of caffeine. And then she also, I've called her several times. Like I said, she takes like 5 breaks a day, all that are at least 15 minutes to half an hour long. And, and then she'll take a break, but then, like, she'll eat at her desk and have, like, 55 meals a day, which I don't even know how that's physically possible. But I digress. So, different strokes for different folks. Like, not everybody is fit or cut out to do healthcare, and somebody that is this level of lazy and this level of, like, you give off this impression about yourself, you give off this, you act this way, like, healthcare isn't for you. You're better off going to work for Walmart, at that point. Like, if you're going to act that way, do these things, go work at Walmart. Nothing against Walmart employees. If you're a Walmart employee, I apologize if you are offended by this, but, like, healthcare, you need to be professional. Like, this woman that I've been training is just off the charts unprofessional with my patients, and I've been so irritated. Like, it just blows my mind. He just brought me with Maul. But I've just been so irritated with this woman because it's like, come on, really? And what this just proves to me is there are a lot of stupid motherfuckers out there, and it keeps getting worse day by fucking day. Just beyond the realm of, like, do I really have to tell you not to come in smelling like smoke working in a hospital? Do I really have to tell you that? And of course, I haven't told her that. I've gone to my managers, and I'm not a snitch. I'm not one that normally goes and tattles on people. But there's some serious things that I've raised questions about with this woman, and I don't know. Hey, it's good that you still have the conversation, though. I mean, you never know. And again, being 28 years old, it's not a good time to really think about that, but it's also good to know if your heart stops, like, hey, I don't want to be resuscitated, or I do want to be resuscitated. These are things that the nursing staff should know. But anyway, back to my, what I was saying about, like I said, healthcare is just, it's not for everybody. I'm going to, drop my orientee stuff unless something else comes up that's relevant. Another thing too, if you are a CNA and you're watching this, or if you're a nurse, or if you're, if you're somebody, that works in healthcare, and you're thinking about, I don't know, I completely just lost my train of thought. If you're a CNA, oh, okay, and if you don't know something and somebody is training you, and this doesn't even just go for healthcare, this just goes as a general rule of thumb, like, if you don't know something, be honest with the person that is training you. Like, don't tell them like, "Hey, I know how to put heart monitor leads on this patient's chest." Don't tell your trainer that, and then turn around and when the nurse asks you to do something like put telemonitor leads on, don't go back around and say, "Oh yeah, I don't know how to do that. Nobody ever taught me how to do that." Day one, I asked you, "Do you know how to put these things on?" No? Okay, I'll teach you. I'm not a mean guy. I don't bite normally, unless you ask me to. Then maybe I'll bite, but that's another story altogether. Like day one stuff, I asked her this. Do you know? Like, there's a little. I don't want to call it a jingle, but there's a way I remember this stuff. Okay, so for those of you that don't work in healthcare, we have these, and it's different each hospital you go to. We have these boxes that go in that little front pocket on the hospital gown, and they, what it does is it measures your heart rhythm. It can tell us whether you're in VTAC, AFib, sinus rhythm, all this different stuff. And so, hang on a second. Interesting. So again, for those that oh, there it is. Okay, I was looking for something on the screen I couldn't find. So anyway, if you it tells you if you're this heart monitor thing and it reports to a monitor room. Most hospitals have a hot monitor room, or we got the screens out by the nursing station that will say, okay, this person is in VTAC, yada 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 yada. Their heart rate is 115, a little too high, so hey, let's go give them some meds to help control that. There. So there's the box. So okay, this is the box, right? Here, there we go. This is the box, and on top of the box, there's a little thing where these wires go right here, right? And so there's 5 wires. You got a, hang on a second. You got a, you have a red one, you have a black one, you have a green one, a white one, and a brown one. Okay. Now all of them have a little, little letters that tell you where the, where each one goes. So you have a left arm lead, you have a right arm lead, which goes right here. So right arm, left arm. You have a V lead, which goes right in the center, it's a brown one. You have your, I want to say it says like LQ or something, left quadrant, so it goes down here. And then you have a right quadrant, which goes on the other side. So there's 5 points that these 5 leads go on. So there's a way that I remember this, and most people that are in nursing will know how to put these leads on. So the fact that I was told that she didn't know how to, it raises a bunch of questions for me. So okay, so the way I always remember it, so white and green are on the left, so white one here, green one here. So it goes snow over grass, right? Okay. Black one here, red one down here. So on the right side, so black and red go on the right side. So smoke over fire. And then you got your center one that goes kind of right by your sternum, between your breasts right there. And it's it's brown, so I say chocolate goes to the heart. Some people will say you poop on your chest, which is funny, but that is, I don't know. I feel like you say that in front of a patient, they're going to be like, why are you pooping on my chest? Anyway, so I was trying to teach her this earlier today, and because I had a nurse come up to me, and they were like, hey, you need to teach her how to put those on. And I'm like, I asked her if she knew how to put those on, and day one, and she said I did. And so after that confrontation, this request from this nurse, who was an older nurse, I go to one of my patients' room, take off the leads. Now it's shift change, so, she's giving a report to another tech. So I go and grab her. I'm like, hey, real quick, can you show me how to put these on? Just testing you, make sure you know. She put them on correctly. And she's like, oh yeah, they got these little numbers and stuff, or little letters and stuff. I'm like, okay. And the only reason she knew that was because this nurse had pointed that out to her. And I'm like, again, if you were a tech before, or if you were a CNA before, I feel like you should already know how to do this. So, as I was saying, chat, like, just in life in general, if you don't know how to do something, whether it be nursing, your job, something at home, ask. Don't feel stupid. Like, the stupid people are the ones that don't ask questions. If you don't know how to do something, ask somebody to teach you how to do it. And particularly if you're at work or, you're training with somebody or whatever, ask questions. You're just more ignorant and stupid looking if you don't ask questions and pretend to know what you're doing. So, my throat's getting dry now. So, that's kind of my howling at the moon for the day. Just, I don't mean to be judgmental or biased, but, like, there's just certain people that don't have a place in healthcare. Let's see if I can actually make any money doing this tonight. I'm not getting off anytime soon. I'm just I'm doing DoorDash, so I'm going to see if I get anything worthwhile taking, because I got a trip I got to go to on Friday, and I need the extra money to go, but 16 miles? Hell no. 16 miles for $10. Yeah, fuck that. Trying to think if there's anything else I want to talk about. So maybe do's and don'ts of nursing. I'm trying to think. I kind of ran out of steam here. Yeah, I didn't come prepared. I just kind of came off. I just kind of started talking about this stuff off the cuff. Covered loved ones, DNR stuff. Ask questions. Don't act like I don't know. Yeah. So. Yeah, I'm out of things to talk about, guys. But thank you for watching, and I kind of want to do some gaming stream. So I'm gonna switch over. Goose, I don't know if you're still watching, but thank you. Just talking about my career as a CNA, kind of, I don't want to say do's and don'ts, but yeah, just things I've had to deal with over the course of the last few days. Oh, you know what? Here's something I wanted to talk about. If you're coming to the stream and you're thinking about a career in whether it's actual nursing, like actually being a nurse, whether it's being a CNA, or whatever there's so many different names for being a CNA depending on what hospital you work at. But if it's something you're thinking about, I'm going to start with being a nurse. If you're a high schooler, or you've been out of high school less than a year, aren't really sure what you want to do, and you're thinking about nursing, I encourage you, before you become a nurse, go and be a CNA for a little bit. Give yourself a year or so of being a CNA, and the reason I say that is because it took me a year of working full-time as a CNA to really find my stride in my career. I worked at it part-time for almost a year, and then I ended up moving to Arizona, lived in Arizona for a year, and in that time, man, when I first got into it, I felt like I was brand new to the whole field, and like I went from working on a pre and post op unit, which in my case was pretty much a cakewalk, to working a PCU unit, which stands for Progressive Care Unit, so PCU, which is a step down from ICU, so it's still technically a critical care unit. And I've worked on PCU for about 2 years now, and it's tough. I mean, you see a lot of things, you get a lot of different kinds of people. Give yourself time to acclimate, because it doesn't happen overnight, guys. You don't learn to, you don't learn to be a CNA within the first couple weeks. You get the fundamentals down, I will give you, but there are tips and tricks and things that you'll learn. You'll mess up, just like anything in life. You will mess up. You'll mess up over and over again. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've messed up on certain things. I can tell you guys stories. I remember this, one particular time I messed up. I just had a patient come back from dialysis, and so for those of you that aren't familiar with what dialysis actually does to the body, so basically, they put a big old needle in your arm, and it's, if you've ever donated blood, it's kind of like that, except instead of donating the blood, they're sending your blood through a machine, and they're cleaning your blood, they're taking fluid out of your body, because some people, the dialysis also helps with things like if you have, I want to say it helps if you have like, what do they call it? You're absorbing too much water. If you have, it helps with all sorts of different things. I just don't really have I don't really want to get into all the finite details, but it takes fluid off of your body, essentially, and cleans your blood as well. So, I digress. So I had a patient come off dialysis. It was an older gentleman. Insisted that I walk him to the bathroom. Me, being ignorant of what could possibly happen, I'm like, fair enough. All right. So, I believe I asked the nurse, I'm like, hey, can I get him to the bathroom real quick? Yeah, go ahead, no big deal. We had to call what's called a rapid response on this gentleman because he was having a hard time breathing. He was just getting dizzy, short of breath. His blood pressure was in the toilet. So we called a rapid response, walked him back to his bed, and he was fine. But I was freaking out because I'm like, oh my God, I just made this man sicker. I did not do this man any favors because I let him talk me into walking into the bathroom instead of using the bedpan or something like that. And so, I was stressed, I was overwhelmed. That was just, that particular day was just a really bad day for me at work. And you get those in nursing. And after a couple of my coworkers kind of calmed me down, they're like, okay, hey, look, listen. You do not want to get a patient up and walking. Give them at least 2 hours after dialysis before you get them up and walking, because this is the kind of thing that can happen. They just had all this fluid taken off of them. They're not, they could be unsteady. Their blood pressure can be in the toilet. You got all this stuff, that could happen, and something bad happened. I've learned from that, and now I have passed on to other techs that I've trained, high schoolers that I've trained that want to get into this. Just things like this that you learn, and if you stay in it long enough, you can really help educate, other people that have never experienced certain things. Because we all experience, when you're in a hospital and you're doing nursing stuff, we all go through different experiences, learn different things, and all have different takeaways. And my takeaways have been, okay, don't do this, do it this way. And the other thing too is, which I'm finding is not the case with the gal I've been training, be open to criticism. Hang on a second, let me answer a text message real quick. And this doesn't just go for nursing either. This goes for just life in general. Be open to criticism, because if you're not open to criticism and you're not open to learning how to do something differently that maybe you've done the same way for 20 years, like, it makes you don't grow. You cannot grow if you refuse criticism. Now, constructive criticism. There's a difference between being an asshole and constructive criticism. Completely two different things. If you're not open to constructive criticism and willing to learn from your mistakes, that's the biggest failure in life I think you can do to yourself and everybody else around you. Be open to constructive criticism. Be open to grow. It's what, even if you've been doing something for 15 years, like I said, like this girl I've been training claims to have been a CNA for 15 years. Whether that's true or not, whole different story. That's not me for me to judge, but be open to learning a new way of doing things. And I'm just as bad about it myself. Sometimes I'm like, especially being autistic like I am, like I have a hard time doing things in a different way. It's really, really hard for me. But it's being open to that, being open to doing things differently, open to different ideas, has helped me grow, not only as a person, as a CNA, but also has helped me to grow out of some of my autistic traits. I work in a very chaotic environment. Sorry, Simba's barking at something. I work in a very chaotic environment, and for a lot of people with autism, I feel like that would be a very difficult environment. But I almost intentionally did it because I knew, looking into it, that it was a chaotic environment. I saw an opportunity for myself to grow as a person and maybe help tame some of my more autistic traits, if you will. And I regret nothing. Like I said at the beginning of the stream, I really, really enjoy what I do for a living. I enjoy, taking care of people. I enjoy the chaos that is my job. Some days are admittedly more chaotic than others. Again, that's how we grow. And another thing that I feel like people in society don't even consider anymore, we as human beings, we as a society, I feel like are so scared of failure, of trying something new and, failing. What we've forgotten, I can't speak for the whole world, but what we have forgotten, I've seen as a society, is that failure helps us to grow. We learn from failure. You ride a bike, right? You're riding your bike. This is kind of gone all off topic here, but I think I'm making some good points here. You fall off your bike, right? You're 7 years old. Dad's helping you with your first bike, or your mom, or a friend, or uncle, or whoever is helping you learn how to ride a bike. You fall off your bike. You scrape your knee. What are you gonna do? You're gonna learn from that. You're gonna be like, okay, well, this is how I need to do this differently. Same way in life, man. Like, same way in life. Okay, well, this is, for me personally, one thing I got to learn is, relationship failures. Okay, that relationship didn't work out. Why didn't it work out? What could I have done differently? What did the other person do? What different things. What can I take away? Because you can't help the other person in a relationship, right? So, like, what can I learn from this field? Like, I'm divorced, what can I take away from the things that I did? And I have taken accountability for the things that I did, and sadly I have not. I've been divorced for 7 years now and have not found a new girlfriend or anything like that to use that knowledge with. But I feel like if given the opportunity, I would do things hell of a lot different than I did in my first marriage, and whatever. But this will all circle back to working in nursing. Just learn from your mistakes and pass on your knowledge to others, man. That's how we grow as a society. We've forgotten that. We've forgotten, that failure, being knocked down over and over and over again. It's how we grow. It's how we grow. We're on an hour of this now. It is how we grow. And if you guys want to whisper me, join my Discord, which for some reason my stuff's not working right now. Whisper me. I'll send you my Discord stuff. If you want to chat, if you have any, if you guys are thinking about nursing career, want some advice, on any of that stuff, let me know. I'm happy to give what advice that I can. Like I said, the takeaway is just be open to criticism, be open to, just be open to, open to failure, because in life and as a nurse, as a CNA, you will fall down, you will. But anyway, guys, that's all I got for you tonight. If I can, I'll think of another podcast or the topic to think about. I'm gonna try and make this just chatting thing a more regular thing if I can. But there was just, like I said, there were just some things I wanted to get off my chest. Things I wanted to talk to you guys about. I think if there's anything else that I wanted to bring up. I think I think I hit all of the hot button issues. But if there's a topic you guys want me to touch on, I'm happy to give it a try. I try to avoid politics and religious type talks because my beliefs are not going to align with Twitch, I'll be honest, in a lot of capacities. So I just kind of, avoid those kinds of things. I'm happy to talk about my career as a CNA. Happy to talk about, whatever you guys are interested in. So, again, if you're watching this after the fact, drop me a follow, DM me, and I hope you guys have a good rest of your week. I might be on tomorrow for a little bit, do some gaming, but I got a lot to do before I go on vacation for Easter, so probably after tomorrow I will be in vacation mode, so I won't be streaming for I would say at least 5 to 6 days. So, alright guys, have a good rest of your night.